Hi, welcome back to my channel. Long time no see. I think it's been a few weeks since I've filmed a video, and that is because I have moved back to uni, back to Nottingham, and this is my third and final year of my LLB, so I'm a law student. So we're back in the same house as I was before, so you'll probably recognise this background. But yeah, I've just been settling back in, doing a lot of cleaning, doing a lot of kind of going to the library, starting to study again. My lectures actually officially start on Monday, so today is Saturday, so a couple of days away, but I've been able to get a head start, get all of my textbooks, get a lot of things together, and I've already started studying early this year. So yeah, it's been a bit of a busy time. It's been tough to film with a house full of people because all of my housemates are back. Today I've had the opportunity to sit down and film a video because it's nice and quiet. It is raining a little bit, so I apologise if you can hear any rain at all on the little window behind the camera, but hopefully, fingers crossed, that you're not able to. But today I'm filming a video, as you can see from the title, all about my favourite stationery and law style bits I think are really useful for law students, mostly from small businesses as well, which a lot of it has been kindly sent to me, but then also some of it is my own products that I will talk about right at the end, my Etsy products, and go through some of those as well, and just describe why I think they're useful really. I do have a reel that went up on my Instagram, which is at StudyLifeHome, about a week ago, where I also showed a lot of these things, but it's good to watch this video because you'll get to actually hear about why I think they're useful and also how I use them. So I do hope that you enjoy the video. Please give it a thumbs up and I'll get straight into it. So the first thing, which isn't really, well, not at all like law themed or law related, but I do really think is something that everybody should have, is an academic diary, just because you need to stay organised really, and you need to keep on top of your lectures. And it does get very heavy, especially in second year as a law student. I'm guessing third year is going to be the same. I think having one of these is really important, and one that has to-do lists inside as well. So this one is by Pepper and Cute, who offered to send me this and a pencil case, and they're over on Instagram. I think these are normally about £20, I believe, and I honestly think it's worth that price, and I'll explain to you why and why I love it so much. First of all, it's just the prettiest thing in the entire world, prettiest planner in the whole world. And inside you can see here, I've been using it for like a month now and I absolutely love it. You've got weekly goals at the top. Every single day you have enough space for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 things to do. So you might want to have like more of a to-do list if you have a lot of things, but I tend to just stick to using this at the moment. You can kind of put down there's little faces, so you can say how your day was, and you can track your drinks, how many waters you've had, who you need to message, who you need to email. So that's kind of the daily things. And then there's also space to track 3 habits. So I normally put down exercising, that I have a certain number of waters, and that I read a certain number of pages from my books, and I kind of change those habits around each week so I can try and achieve something. So yeah, those are kind of like how the weeks are set out. And then you also have sections at the back where you can put your contacts, reading. There's not a lot of space for book reviews, but there's space for a few book reviews. Money, so you can look at your finances in the back of this. Loads and loads of different things which I think are so helpful, and also just cute. So there's like a little playlist page where you can put down what songs you're loving at the moment, also what films you've watched, travel bucket list where you want to travel. So it's kind of like an academic diary, but then also a journal as well. So I also write in at the end of each day like what I did on the day, and kind of use it as a diary really, just like a sentence of how my day went also. And at the back there is sticky notes, which I love, a pocket, which I have been using actually to put kind of little bits and pieces that you collect that you could put into a scrapbook, which I am planning to make later in the year. And then also stickers pages, which I just absolutely love because I've been sticking stickers along on the days. So there's like a running sticker to say that you've been for a run, different exercises also about if you've got important meetings, work, literally there's loads and loads of things in this, and I love it so much. I'm so grateful that they sent it to me, and it's also really pretty. There is also a diary that I was sent, which I currently don't have with me at the moment because I'm letting a friend try it out, which is the Law Student Diary by Blooming Potential, and which is also really great. And as a law student, it's got more specific things for you. So at the start there's like commercial awareness pages, but only a couple, and there is kind of where you can write your work experience, networking, and then the rest of it is laid out quite similar to this, where you can write down to-do lists and check off your drinks and things. So yeah, I didn't need two, and I did prefer this one personally because I didn't need the commercial awareness tracker and stuff like that, because I have got a training contract. I still keep up with my commercial awareness, but I do it a bit differently. I would also recommend that one if you want one that's a little bit more specific to you, but this one is so pretty and also I think would be a great gift. I know that the academic year has started, but if you don't have a diary, I really would recommend picking a diary up, because this is keeping me so organised. But that is a way that I stay really focused and on top of things during the year. Things can get crazy as a law student, is with an academic diary / planner. So yeah, I really recommend this one. The next thing, which is a little bit more general, and you may recognise this from my original video last year, is notebooks. And I just love these ones so much, and I always recommend them because they're super affordable on Amazon. You can get like a big pack of I think about 7 or something like that. These are the Cambridge Notepads. There's 200 pages. They're just really good quality, really, and you can't see through the pages. So the reason I wanted to add this in this video is because I always make these kind of notes, like little mind maps. I have all of my notes on my computer, and then as revision or consolidation, I consolidate actually by hand rather than on my laptop, because I like to use different forms and formats and it just helps with concentration and focus really. And I find I like to use a notebook to consolidate and put little notes together at the end. So I would really recommend these ones if you are looking for some. And yeah, once again, they are on Amazon. Now onto the more law specific things. So this brand, I'm sure many of you would have heard of. Well, this little small business, I've kind of been around, well, I definitely have been around right from when they started, which I think is amazing. And they've sent me a lot of products over kind of the last year or so since they started, and I'm always so grateful and love seeing how much they've progressed. So it is the Notepads Club, and they have lots of different products, one of them being the Case Notes pad. So these are kind of pads that you pull up and rip off like this. I've used loads of these last year. I don't know if you can see, if I show you this here, you can see I've used probably about half of these already, and I absolutely love these. I used this a lot throughout the year last year for tutorial reading, so you're told to read specific cases, and I found this useful to note things down. I did find that it doesn't work for every case. Of course it won't, because for different subjects cases work differently, because it says claimant defendant, then it says decision of the lower court, who appealed, then appellant's arguments and defendant's arguments, and not everything always works in that format, but a lot of cases actually do. And it's helpful to use this as you're reading through a case, because it helps you pick out important things and memorize them. And then I put these, like hole punch them into a folder or put them in like a Polly Pocket to look at for the rest of the year. And yeah, I think these are really great. I wouldn't use one of these for every single case, of course, because it takes absolutely ages, and especially in third year and also in second year, sometimes you're told to read loads of cases, like 7 or 8 for a tutorial. Again, I wouldn't use these. I wouldn't use this for every single one. I would use this for kind of like the 2 most important ones, because otherwise it would take too long, and definitely if I was in a rush. I didn't use this as much. I'll show you a bit later what I used a bit more, but for cases that I really needed to know in depth, and that's you will know there's like a really important judgment in certain subjects, then this was really, really great. And I think it could be around between £8 and £10. I'm not 100% sure, but I do think it will last you a really long time if you use it for those very specific cases. And again, I'm going to be using it during my 3rd year, and I used it last year as well, so really great product. And then another thing, which I actually bought this one myself with my own money, is their daily planner, which is again very, very similar, looks very similar. You rip it off. This one I use more if I have a very, very busy day, because it actually has the times throughout the day where you need to jot down what you need to do for that day, how many hours you need to study, who you need to call, when your assignments are due, that kind of thing. So definitely if I have more things that I need to do throughout the day that might not fit in my normal planner, or if I do have loads of stuff in one day, I do find this really, really useful. I don't get as much use out of it as I would like to actually, but I think it just is because if you don't have a massively busy day, there's no point really, because I don't want to waste the sheets. But I still think it's a really, really good idea to have this kind of on your desk, and you could fill it in maybe the night before, so you just know exactly what's coming and how long you want to spend on each thing. And then the last thing that I want to show from them are their statute notes cards. Then they also have ones for cases as well, but they sent me the statute ones, which I'm really, really grateful for, because I do have something that I use for cases, which I'll show later on. But statutes don't see as much in 1st year, I don't think, but in 2nd year definitely, and I know in 3rd year there's going to be loads. I think it's a really good way to memorise is on a flashcard like this. I normally write numerous sections, because you will have so many sections of a statute that you need to learn. I'll sometimes have like 4, 5 or 6. So we'll just show you here. So there's a space for the topic, the legislation title, the year, and then the section. And I think that's really great. The only thing that I would say about these cards is I don't think the actual headings, I personally would have put these headings. So it says purpose of act, legislation, and then key definitions. Now for me, I just don't really get those headings, because I don't need to write the purpose of the act every single time, because a lot of the time it's the same act. And then also it says legislation. I don't really know what's supposed to go under there. And then key definitions. Again, I guess you kind of just, I use this as defining things that have come up in these sections, just to remind myself. And then on the back it says additional comments. So that's the only thing. The headings aren't the best, but I kind of just ignore them and just do my own thing. So all the way down the legislation bit, I normally write descriptions of what's in each section pretty much. Key definitions, as I said, I will just define some of the things that are in those sections. Sometimes that's like left blank because I don't need to define anything. And then in the purpose of the act, again, pretty much left blank, or if I need more space to talk about the sections, then I put it in there. And then additional comments, I tend to write cases that relate to these specific sections. So especially in land law, you'll see loads and loads of sections, loads and loads of statutes, and then you'll have quite a lot of cases to show examples of the court applying the statute. And I just list those pretty much on the back and say which section it relates to. But you could also make your own versions of this on plain flashcards if you're not that big of a fan of the heading. Another thing that I would say about the Notepads Club products, especially these ones, they are really, really good, really steady, but they're kind of like a shiny, slippy material. So when you write on them with a biro, it smudges like really easily. You kind of have to make sure that you do things in a very particular order so you don't drag your hand across them, because it's really frustrating when I smudge them. And if you want to do the back, you kind of have to lay it out to dry for like 10-15 minutes and then turn it over, and that's even with like a normal biro. So that's the thing to think about. And it's also quite similar with these products. You can probably see it's quite shiny, so if you do use more of an inky pen, it will smudge, if that's something that you like to know about when you buy something. Another thing which is very law student specific, I would say, is the City Career Series books. I think these are amazing. I've actually been sent these like a couple of days ago for a giveaway. These are not mine, but I have looked through them and I would recommend them because a lot of the advice in these are things that I collated and heard from a lot of different people during my application season last year. I did a lot of research, and there's even advice in this that I wish I'd had. I don't need these now. I still think they're really useful, and I would actually love to keep the commercial law handbook one because there's a lot of like commercial law stuff in here, and I'm going to be working in commercial law firms, so I do think that would be useful even if you have got a training contract, but especially this one. So this one's the application, interviews and internship handbook. There's loads and loads of advice, networking, commercial awareness, interviews, and it goes into each stage of the application. So you've got interviews, video interviews, assessment centres, actually being at a vacation scheme. There's loads and loads of stuff in these. So keep an eye out on my Instagram because these will be up for grabs. I have 2 of each of these, so they'll be given away together, and also a couple of memberships to the Commercial Career Series themselves online. They have loads and loads of useful things online, so a few free memberships as well. But I thought I would mention these because I have read through them both and I think they're brilliant. I'll just give you a quick kind of show. They're really good quality, really beautiful to be honest, and they also smell great. New book smell. So you can see, absolutely packed full, and I would 100% recommend these to anybody going into the application process this year because they're packed full of tips and you could just tab through them. And yeah, really, really great company, and I'm really excited to be doing a giveaway with them. Next, which isn't really specific to law students again, but I would definitely tell law students to use these, are tabs. These were in my original stationery video from last year. These ones specifically are available on Amazon. They are kind of like plasticky ones, they're highlighted, but you can actually see through them. Now, I would never buy normal ones again after having these ones. They're so like durable. They come in different sizes. I've actually used all of the yellow colour there. But there's little ones and then there's bigger ones, and there's also packs of 2 that are even bigger. Online, on the images when you actually purchase them, it shows that you can use them within the textbook to highlight over pages. I will show you what I use it for. This is an example. So here is one of the textbooks that I have for 3rd year. So I put some across the top for very, very key pages that I think are super important, and then down the side as I'm reading I will tab things. So you can see here I will tab things on paragraphs where I think there's some useful stuff pretty much. So blue for me is like an important definition that then I tend to note down. I have like a definition sheet that I tend to then note that down on. Green or yellow, interchanging because I use so many of these, is important facts or really key things that I think are important to know about. Orange is kind of evaluation points because you do need to write essays and you need to evaluate things. So that's kind of when they're talking about reform in the textbook, or they're talking about criticising things, or just the pros and cons of certain things. I always put a little orange tab. And then pink, you can see here, is for cases, when they mention like a case that they go into detail about that I think is a good case to know, or also statutes, again statute sections. So I would 100% recommend getting yourself some of these tabs no matter what subject you do, because they are really helpful. They help me focus a lot more when I'm actually reading a textbook, when I'm tabbing the pages, because I actually look out for certain things, and I think is that important. And also it just makes it a little bit more interesting, a little bit more colourful, and you can see how far you've read through the book really easily as well. So I would really recommend picking some tabs up, and I will link these ones below. Last but definitely not least, I'm going to show you some of my own Etsy products. So I have an Etsy shop that I will leave below, where at the moment there's only PDFs on there, so that you can purchase the PDF and then you can print off as many of these things as you want. You can go to your library. So for me with university, I get a certain amount of credit, so I go to the library and I print loads of these things off for myself. I also have my own printer, and I do also sell these physically in physical packs, but unfortunately I've moved to uni and I've left all of my paper and ink at home. So for now, until I work out how I can get my hands back on them, I'm actually not doing the physical products, which is a shame. Definitely because I love making physical products. But at the moment it's just the PDFs available. The first one is the Law Student Bundle, where one of my favourite products and most used products is, which is the key case sheets. So as I was saying earlier, the Notepads Club ones are a lot more detailed. I have these where they're double-sided, or you can print them double-sided. When I sell them physically, they're double-sided, and you can put the topic, case name, citation, facts, decision, and reasoning for decision. So the judgment, pretty much, just like why they came to that decision. So it's a little bit smaller, but this is really good if you don't want to go in as much detail. I use these a lot. I've actually used the back of this one already for a case. Again, I use this for tutorials. When I'm preparing for tutorials, I go into some cases in extreme detail like that, and then others I'll just go into a little bit less. Some cases you really don't need to know that much about, but you still need to know that case, so I use this. I also used this a lot last year because I didn't make flashcards for my cases, so I used these instead. So you can print these off. They're quite cute, quite colourful, and that's all part of the Law Student Bundle, and there's different colours in there. And also in there there's commercial awareness, stories of the month, and then also commercial awareness weekly news updates. So there's the weekly news updates, so you have loads of space on here. So date of article, name of story, facts of the story, commercial analysis. So there's space for 4. And then also there's the commercial awareness stories of the month, where you pick 4 of your favourite pretty much from the whole month. So you really go into those ones a little bit more in depth, and it also encourages you to read over your weekly news updates as well. So I really love those, and I use these a lot when I was preparing for interviews and preparing for the application process. In that bundle there is also like these little to-do lists that you can print off, and then you cut them out across here. So there's one for each day of the week, and there's also like a study timetable and a couple of other things, but these are the ones that I have printed off myself at the moment and I'm using at the moment. But then there's also other things available in that bundle, and then I also have the law exam bundle, which is a different one, which has problem question planners that look like this. So it just gives you space to put in what your introduction is going to be, because you do tend to need an introduction for problem questions, but not always. So who are the claimants, who are the possible defendants, what injury loss has the claimant suffered, or what possible claim do they have. So it kind of covers a lot of different situations. Then it says define the area of the law, name the elements needed for a successful claim in that area, and then issues of law and cases to support, defences, possible defences to the claim, and then remedies. So it makes sure that you've definitely mentioned everything. The only thing that's not on here actually is evaluation and critical comment, and that is because I made these back when you didn't really need critical comments. So I would definitely recommend also noting some critical comment down, maybe on the back. And then you can also use that instead is the essay question planners, which gives you space to say, do you agree with the statement, or what argument are you going to make? Because it tends to be that you're given a statement and then you kind of have to say whether you agree with it or not, or it's just a question and then you have to make an argument. Define the area of law again that you are being asked to evaluate, because you really need to be able to get those kind of like foundation skills in there and actually talk about what the law is. arguments that support your opinion, counter arguments, so you can do both sides, reform proposals, because I think they're always really useful to get into an essay, and also I would say to use some different journal articles that I'd note down in there as well. Significant cases for evaluation, because you tend to like pick out cases that you can talk about as well, and then sources used. So this one's a bit more broad, but again that's to help you with essay questions. In that bundle there is also a key definition sheet which I used a lot last year, because again, as I said earlier, I'll tab where there's a definition and it will just help me write that down. And then there are also reading lists where you can write down what you need to read, so the topic, the book and the page numbers, and then you tick off when you read them. And this is really useful to be able to like pin up, or also I use this whole bunched into my folder for each subject, and I wrote down what reading I needed to do. So that's in the law exam bundle. And then there is also a different bundle, which was my first product, which are revision checklists. They're just completely separate because there's lots of different coloured versions that you can print, and I have one here actually inside of my folder. This is one that I kind of started using already. So you kind of write your topic across the top, write down the different subtopics down the side, and then you tick off when you've reread the lecture notes, added to the notes from your textbook, created key case cards, test yourself on those cards, and then completed and marked practice questions, because these are the most important things for me during revision that I do. So I made these available for you, and they just come in lots of different colours. And there's another key case sheet. So yeah, they just come in lots of different colours, and that is another PDF as well. And obviously I'd recommend all of those things because I made them for myself to use and then let them be available to all of you, and they really helped me during my studying. So again, I will leave those linked below. So I hope you found this video helpful. Please let me know if you have any of these things, or if you want to pick any of them up, and give it a like if you haven't already, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.